to the world of folk music.
I've slung my guitar o'er my shoulder, and I've wandered this country around. And the tunes that I've heard in my journey have sung up a wonderful sound.
The World of Folk Music is brought to you each week at this time as a public service on behalf of the Social Security Administration. Today, Josh White joins your host, Oscar Brand, as we explore the world of folk music and learn about the protection you're building for yourself and your family through Social Security. Social Security experts Roy Swift and Wallace Kendall are with us today to provide the details of a heartwarming case history they've entitled The Surprise Harvest. You'll hear their story in a few minutes. Now, you'll hear some music from Oscar Brand.
Oh, get along home, Cindy, Cindy, get along home. Yes, get along home, Cindy, Cindy, I'll marry you someday. Now you should see my Cindy, she comes from the south. She's so sweet the honeybees, they nest around her mouth. Get along home, Cindy, Cindy, get along home. Get along home, Cindy, Cindy, I'll marry you someday. Oh, I climbed up the apple tree, she climbed up the gum. I never saw a pretty gal, but what I loved her some. Get along home, Cindy, Cindy, get along home. Get along home, Cindy, Cindy, I'll marry you someday. I saw Cindy in the summer, then I saw her in the fall. Last time that I saw her, I said, goodbye, baby, that's all. Get along home, Cindy, Cindy, get along home. Get along home, Cindy, Cindy, I'll marry you someday.
You know, most people associate a particular folk singer with a particular kind of music. For instance, our guest, Josh White. Well, you remember him from his One Meatball and the wonderful Chain Gang songs he's recorded. But Josh, like many folk singers, sings all sorts of songs. In fact, didn't you first begin by singing spirituals?
That's what I was supposed to sing. My mother's religion, my father was a minister. So my first recordings was in 1930 to be exact. And I was billed as Joshua White, the singing Christian. And I'd like to try one of those old songs now. This is a song. It's entitled As a Man Going Around Taking Names. There's a man going round taking names. There's a man going round taking names. He took my father's name and left my heart in pain. There's a man going round taking names. There's a man going round taking names. There's a man going round taking names. He took my father's name and left my heart in pain. There's a man going round taking names. Never let him catch you with your work undone when he takes your names. Never let him catch you with your work undone when he takes your name. Never let him catch you with your work undone. If you do, hell will be your home. There's a man going round taking names.
Never let him catch you with your work undone when he takes your names. Never let him catch you with your work undone when he takes your name. Never let him catch you with your work undone. If you do, hell will be your home. There's a man going round taking names. There's a man going round taking names. There's a man going round taking names. Oh Lord, well he took my father's name and he left my heart in pain. There's a man going round taking names.
Thank you, Josh White, for There's a Man Going Round Taking Names.
Now, once again, it's time to hear a true story taken from the Social Security files with the permission of the woman who lived it. Our storytellers are Roy Swift and Wallace Kendall. Roy, what's the title of today's tale?
I call it The Surprise Harvest. It's the story of a woman whom we'll call Mary Franks. She asked us to withhold her real name. Mary had lived a full, useful life. She was married when she was 20, raised a family, and had taken care of her husband and home. But after the children were grown, Mary and her husband sold their home and moved to a smaller one. They just didn't need that much room with the children gone. The new house had a garden, which became a thing of beauty under Mary's tender ministrations.
Mary and her husband lived on in peace and contentment until he became seriously ill. He was in and out of hospitals for years, undergoing several operations and protracted treatment for a malignant growth. He finally succumbed, and Mary buried her husband quietly. After the initial shock and grief had subsided, Mary took stock of her economic resources. Her husband's long illness had practically wiped Mary out financially.
She knew she could count on the children for some help, but she didn't want to be too much of a burden on them. She decided to get some kind of job that would permit her to maintain her independence. She recalled that many of her neighbors had admired her handiwork in the garden, and so she offered to help them do the gardening.
Soon she was working almost a full schedule every day. It was ideal for Mary, doing the work she loved best and making enough money at it to get by. But the years finally took their toll, and Mary was compelled to retire to her own garden. Her neighbors had taken care of paying the Social Security tax and reporting the wages Mary made. So when Mary applied for Social Security benefits, there was no problem. She's now getting a benefit check every month, and she'll keep on getting those payments as long as she lives.
Wallace, for the benefit of our listeners, how about giving us a brief rundown on Social Security for people who work in and around other people's houses?
I'll be glad to, Oscar. If a household worker is paid $50 or more in cash wages by one employer in 3 months, the employer must report her earnings to the District Director of Internal Revenue. The employer pays half the Social Security taxes. The household worker pays the other half.
One final question, Roy. Where can our listeners get more information about Social Security and the household employee?
At the nearest Social Security office. Just ask for a free copy of booklet number 21, which gives the responsibility of the employer, or booklet number 24, which has information for the household worker. That's booklet number 21 for the employer, or 24 for the worker herself.
Our thanks to Roy Swift and Wallace Kendall.
And now let's return to our guest, Josh White.
Look down that lonesome road before you travel on. You look up and seek your maker, for Gabriel blows weary, toting, oh Lord, such a load, trudging down that lonesome road. You look down that lonesome road before you travel on. You look up and seek your maker, for Gabriel blows his horn. Weary, toting, oh Lord, such a load, trudging on down that lonesome road. You look down that lonesome road before you travel on.
Josh White singing for you Lonesome Road. Josh, thanks for stopping by here.
Oscar, it's been my pleasure being here, and I want to thank you too.
I guess every folk singer has lots of songs that he likes that he never gets to sing in concerts. For instance, an oil driller song nobody except oil drillers could understand.
Said the driller to the toolie, will you play a little jig? Said the toolie to the driller, let us dance around the rig. So he took down his fiddle and began a little scroll, and they danced a double shuffle round a 3-inch hole. Then the toolie kept a fiddling while the driller drilled and drilled, fiddling in the drill until the barrels all was filled. To the beat of the walking beam, a-chumping up and down, says the toolie to the driller, oh now won't you go to town? Then they took the temper screw and they hung it on the stand, and they covered up the puddles with a bucket full of sand, with their pockets lined in money and their gullets feeling dry. Says the driller to the toolie, shall we give the town a try? When the morning sun was breaking, it was back to camp they went, and they searched each other's pockets, but they couldn't find a cent. They leaned against a headache post, feeling kinda ill. Then they laughed and they hollered and they started up the drill. And said the driller to the toolie, will you dance a little jig? Said the toolie to the driller, we will dance around the rig. He took down his fiddle and began a little scroll, and danced a double shuffle round a 3-inch hole.
The driller and the toolie, and I'll bet you there are a lot of oil drillers didn't understand that one. But one thing is clear. We'll return again with the world of folk music.
I've slung my guitar o'er my shoulder, and I've wandered this country around. And the tunes that I've heard in my journey have sung up a wonderful sound.
The World of Folk Music, starring Oscar Brand, has been presented as a public service on behalf of your Social Security Administration to acquaint you with the benefits Social Security provides for you.
There's sadness and joy set to music, the story of life in a song. I guess we'll just keep on a-singing as we go a-traveling along.
Stanley Brothers, paying their first visit to the world of folk music.
I've slung my guitar o'er my shoulder, and I've wandered this country around. and the tunes that I've heard in my journey have sound.
The World of Folk Music is brought to you each week at this time as a public service on behalf of the Social Security Administration. Today, the Stanley Brothers join your host, Oscar Brand, as we explore the world of folk music and learn about the protection you're building for yourself and your family through Social Security. Today's Social Security case history tells of a Wisconsin family in which a mother and her 2 sons are simultaneously receiving Social Security retirement benefits. More about this unusual situation later from Social Security experts Roy Swift and Wallace Kendall. At the moment, let's hear from World of Folk Music host Oscar Brand.
I traveled all around the world in Tonawanda too. Was cast on desert islands, I've been beaten black and blue. I fought the battle of Bully Run and I've wandered since a boy. But I'll never forget a trip I took from Buffalo to Troy. Calling watch her, catch her, jump her the Juba Jew. Give her the line and let her go where the boys can see her through. Can't you hear us howling while the wind is blowing free? On the long trip from Buffalo on the Erie. Now the cook we had upon the deck stood 6 feet in her socks. Her hand was like an elephant's ear, her breath would open the locks. A maid of 50 summers and she slept upon the floor. And when at night she lay asleep, oh Lord, how she would snore, singing, watch her, catch her, jump her the Juba Jew. Give her the line and let her go where the boys can see her through. Can't you hear us howling while the wind is blowing free? On the long trip from Buffalo on the Erie. The cook, she was a daisy and she was stuck on me. Her arms were like the tiller and her legs were like a tree. She was sunburned, she was freckled with a red dress, you can bet. So we used her in the evening as a headlight on the deck. Calling, watch her, catch her, jump her the Juba Jew. Give her the line and let her go where the boys can see her through. Say, can't you hear us howling while the wind is blowing free? On the long trip from Buffalo on the Erie. So hold upon the bowline, pull upon the slack. Take a reef in your trousers and straighten up your back. And mind the saying, driver, if you want to keep your neck. Don't treat your mules unkindly when the cook is on the deck. Call and watch her, catch her, jump her the Juba Jew. Hey, give her the line and let her go where the boys can see her through. Say, can't you hear us howling while the wind is blowing free? On the long trip from Buffalo on the Erie.
The Erie Canal Juba Jew, and now we're going to take a long trip from the Erie Canal down to the canals of Florida. For among the exports of the great state of Florida are today's guests, the Stanley Brothers. They're well known to Florida television audiences, and by recordings and personal appearance tours, they've been heard by country music fans all over the United States. Today we're delighted to welcome Ralph Carter and Harold Stanley and Richard Lambert to the world of folk music. Carter, I understand that you act as kind of spokesman for the group.
That's right, Oscar. I am the spokesman, I guess, for the group, and we'd like to do a number here on the program today. It's a pleasure to be with you, and this number that we're going to try is one that we wrote a few years back, recorded, and get a lot of calls for it around over the country where we go. A little thing called How Mountain Gals Can Love.
or How Mountain Girls Can Love. Thanks for the information to the Stanley Brothers. Now it's time to hear a true story taken from the Social Security files with the permission of the people who lived it. Our storytellers are Roy Swift, Wallace Kendall.
Oscar, our story for today is a family yarn with an unusual twist. It's the story of the Stanky family of Tomah, Wisconsin. On February 2nd, 1965, Arthur Stanky applied for Social Security benefits. Just about a month later, his brother Ernest applied also. Now, both are getting Social Security checks.
That's unusual, Roy, but it's not too unusual.
Yes, but what makes the Stankys unusual is that their mother, Mrs. Anna Stanky, has been getting benefits since 1957. Oscar, of the 20 million people getting benefits today, only a very small percentage of mother, son, old age beneficiaries are on the rolls.
Okay. Unusual, as you say. Now, how did the Stankys become eligible for benefits, Wallace?
Mrs. Stanky and her two sons have operated a 100-acre farm as equal partners since the head of the household, William Stanky, passed away many years ago. The family has filed farm partnership tax returns as well as individual income tax returns as long as they've been operating the farm together. In 1955, self-employed farmers were first covered by Social Security. At that time, Mrs. Stanky was 85 years of age, and when she applied for benefits, she needed credit for only about 1.5 years of work to qualify for benefits. She keeps getting a check every month, regardless of what she earns for the year, because she is over 72 years of age. Her sons, however, may have some benefits withheld while they are under 72, depending on the amount of their earnings each year.
Wallace, how about giving us some facts about Social Security and the self-employed farmer?
I'll be glad to, Oscar. Every farm operator whose net earnings for the year are $400 or more must report his earnings and pay Social Security taxes. Even if he has a bad year and clears little or no money, he can earn Social Security credit if his gross income for the year is at least $600. Congress has made special provision in the law enabling self-employed farmers with low net incomes to report on 2/3 of their gross income for Social Security purposes.
One final question, Roy. Where can our listeners get more information about Social Security and the self-employed farmer?
At the nearest Social Security office, Oscar. Just ask for a free copy of our booklet called Social Security for Self-Employed Farmers.
Thank you, Roy and Wallace. Stanley Brothers, if you're ready with another song, we're ready to listen.
All right, thank you very much, Oscar. It is nice to be back, and our next number is another one of our record songs. We didn't write it, but we recorded it and get a lot of calls for it around over the country where we play, and we'd like to try for you here now, one called Stone Walls and Steel Bars. Ralph? Stone walls, steel bars, love on my mind. I'm a three-time loser, I'm long gone this time. Jealousy has took my young life, all for the love of another Stonewall steel bars, a love on my mind. I'm a three-time loser, I'm long gone this time. I'm a three-time loser, I'm long gone this time.
The Stanley Brothers recreating their recording of Stone Walls. Thank you all for being with us.
It sure has been nice, Oscar, visiting with you here. All the gangs enjoyed it. Fellas, you had a good time? That's true. Bye-bye now.
Every once in a while, some listener sends in a song that has been in his family for a long time. And here's one we just got from New Haven that dates back to the Revolutionary War. Come, brother Claudes, let's merry be to Boston strike away, sirs, and drink good toddy flippin' tea, 'tis Independence Day, sirs. Yankee Doodle, keep it up, Yankee Doodle dandy. We'll make the British skip and dance, because at that they're handy. They say the British mean to try to give us all a flogging, but if they dare to come this way, we'll send them back a-jogging. Yankee Doodle, keep it up, Yankee Doodle dandy. We'll make the British skip and dance, because at that they're handy. So let us soak our hides full well and laugh and sing and play, sirs. For sure as guns, just once a year we'll have Independent Day, sirs. Yankee Doodle, keep it up, Yankee Doodle dandy. We'll make the British skip and dance, because at that they're handy. An old song from Revolutionary times sent to us by a correspondent from New Haven. If you have any songs, send them in. If you haven't, well, why don't you just sit around and listen when we come your way again with the world of folk music.
I've slung my guitar o'er my shoulder, and I've wandered this country around. And the tunes that I've heard in my journey have sung up a wonderful sound.
The World of Folk Music, starring Oscar Brand, has been presented as a public service on behalf of your Social Security Administration to acquaint you with the benefits Social Security provides for you.
There's sadness and joy set to music, the story of life in a song. I guess we'll just keep on a-singing as we go a-traveling along.